So now that we talked about the idea of actually picking something to work on next, now we have to get that and transform into a SMART goal. Now, SMART goals show that there's a lot of research that show that making specific and challenging goals can actually lead to improved performance by students. And so this is something that we engage on routinely every day, every class within the Summit platform. We make SMART goals for projects in class. We make SMART goals for each SDL class every morning. And then at the end of the day, we reflect on it. How do we do on that? Can we do better on this? So the first rule about SMART goal making is that they should be specific as possible. I should be able to read your goal and know exactly what you're going to be working on. So for example, if I picked on working on a science power focus area, and I went to the year page, a goal that says I'm going to pass a science focus area isn't specific. I don't know which one you're going to work on. But if I actually make a goal that says I am going to try to pass the ecosystem relationships assessment, that is specific. The next thing I want to do is make these goals measurable. So a measurable goal will have a number attached to it. It will have something that you can actually quantify. So for example, saying I'm going to get 8 out of 10 on this goal. Or if my goal is I'm going to take 2 pages of notes, or I'm going to watch 30 minutes worth of videos and take 1 page worth of notes. I'm going to spend 15 minutes studying with a friend and produce a amount of notes equivalent to 3 pages between the two of us. So numbers associated with that. And I also started talking about time there, but we'll get back to that in a second. The other thing is this idea of it being attainable. You don't want to make a goal that is so hard that you're never going to be able to make it, and it's just going to be discouraging, right? So you don't want to say, I'm going to get a 10 out of 10 of the assessment when you've never done that before, and you've always struggled to even get a 5, right? So a more attainable goal would just be like, I want to pass, right? So an attainable goal is one that you can actually do. You're not going to say, I'm going to do 50 pages of notes doing today's SDL. It's like, you're not going to even do 50 pages. So make sure the goal is achievable, that you can actually get it done. Make sure the goal is realistic in the sense that it's relevant to what you're actually doing, right? So in other words, can it be done? And does it have something to do with what I need to do? So that goes back to what I talked about in the last video, this idea that I'm going to pick a goal that has to do with what I'm working on, with the project that I'm currently. So if ecosystem relationships is attached to the current project, it makes sense to do that. And it makes sense to do it within the next week or so, because that's when I need that information. So make the goal be relevant and realistic to your life is what the R is all about. And then lastly, make it timely. Put a deadline to it and actually say how long you're going to spend working on it. So for example, I'm going to pass the test by Friday, or I'm going to spend 30 minutes taking notes today, or 15 minutes reviewing with a friend. So a SMART goal will actually have all of those components. So let's practice creating one of these for one of the scenarios that I talked about in the last video. Say that, for example, the student that was around on pace and is trying to go to the Summit platform to make a goal. So I have a separate video that goes into this in detail on a week screen, and it also talks about how to chunk goals. And I'm also going to attach that same video to this playlist after this one. So you definitely watch that, because not only do you want to make large goals, like let's pass an assessment by Friday, you also want to break that goal down into smaller chunks, into mini goals to help you create a plan. But we'll talk more about that in the next video too. So for the purpose of this one, I'm just going to make one simple goal for the first day of study towards that, and one large goal. So I'm not going to chunk the whole thing the way I'm going to do it in the next video. But let's say, for example, I need to pass that. So I'm going to add a goal that I'm going to pass the focus area. And then I can click on more to pick from the list, or I can type it myself. And I'm going to do ecosystem relationships. And I'm going to have to pass the content assessment using process of elimination. And I'm going to try to get an 8 out of 10, which is the minimum that I need to pass. Okay. Now let's actually see if that is a goal that is a SMART goal. Is it specific? Yes, I know exactly what I need to pass. Is it measurable? Yes, I'm going to get 8 out of 10, which is the minimum to pass. Is it achievable? Yeah, I think I can do it. If it's Monday and I have a whole week to get there and I only need to pass, I can do this. I can totally do this. 1 week for pass each PFA. Can it be relevant? Yes, we talked about this. It is for the project that I'm currently working on, and I have it on this week that would actually help me to finish it by this week so I can actually work on my project with that information. Is it timely? Yes, I have 1 week to do it. due on Friday. So that is an example of a SMART goal. And the system actually helps you create that by having a date, by having an amount that you're doing. All right, so let me try to do one without using the system for today, for Monday, and what I need to do to get that done. Okay, so let's say, for example, today I'm going to I'm going to study. Oh, oops, let me go back there. Study and then create goal. Is that a SMART goal? Well, right off the bat is not specific. So we got to get more specific than that. So what are you doing to study, right? So I'm going to study for ecosystems, relationships. And I do like to use the systems function for this because it's much easier to just grab from the down menu if you want to. Now, is this a good SMART goal? Well, it's specific, but I don't really know. There's no measurement about it, right? And I don't even know what I'm using to study. Well, so let me make it more specific. Study for relationship is objective one, okay? And I'm going to do 2 pages of notes in 50 minutes. Okay? And now I have a time component in there. I have a measurable component in there, and I can take 2 pages of notes in 50 minutes if I focus. So it's achievable. It is also relevant to the goal that I have for Friday, because if I finish the objective one today, maybe I can finish objective 2 tomorrow and then study the next couple days and then be ready to pass it by Friday. And that's the kind of stuff I'm going to do in our next video, but I'm going to show you how to chunk a larger goal into smaller pieces as we work towards the next stage of the learning cycle, which is to actually make plans. Make sure you actually practice the process of making SMART goals. And after you create the process, ask yourself, do I know exactly what I'm doing? Is there something, a number there that I'm measuring, right? Is this something that I can actually get done? Is there a time component to this? And is it relevant? And is it something that actually matters to what I need to do? Is it something that is realistic? So I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be starting to talk about how to break this down. It actually comes from another playlist, but I'll meet you on the other end, starting to talk about making plans. See you guys then.